All right. Okay. So, Adriana, what do you have to say for yourself?
All right. Well, Luca, give me a second. Yeah, welcome to the call, guys. This is the last call in the five-part series on mortgage protection, everything from, Vivian's in-home, whatever it takes to be successful at doing so. We're going to release the recordings probably by I don't know, what are we today? So I don't even know what day it is anymore. By the end of the week, I would say we're going to publish these and we'll post it out there for everyone to see. And so today we're going to be talking about the why. So basically, what that is something that allows you to build emotion in the home to really convey why this is important. So in Vivian's case, she'll go through her why, which is basically the reason she's in this industry and the reason that she believes and truly does believe that mortgage protection is important, right? Like there is a purpose for it. This industry is not all about money, guys, and big bank accounts and all that stuff. We're doing real work out there. The same way as when I'm talking to recruits, I'm trying to bring something better to their lives. I mean, you guys are out there in the field, and when we're all out there protecting families, we're enriching people's lives and helping them protect their legacy. So if you have a compelling story, or you know someone who's been through a similar situation where they've also almost lost everything because of a death in the family, or whatever the case may be, a disability, it doesn't matter what it is really, but if they've been impacted in any way and that almost caused them to lose everything, you should harness that to your advantage, because it really gets people to see why this is important, because we all think that we're invulnerable. Everyone thinks they're going to live forever. I haven't been to a doctor myself, and I don't know, since I think I broke my tibia when I was 13 playing soccer. So that's what it is. That's what this call is about. We don't have a crystal, we don't have a crystal ball that we can see our future in and that we know exactly when we're going to die. So that's kind of what this call is about, the why. And Vivian's why is very compelling. And yeah, I'll let you take it away.
All right. So here's what I want you guys to think about. When you come into this industry, you are here, you came here because of the money. Okay. Just like me, you did not grow up, most likely, unless you were an exception to the rule. You did not grow up saying, I want to be a life insurance agent, which is really weird because my son says he wants to be a life insurance agent because he sees us what we're doing. So now he does that. There's also a little kid in the Utah office that's 13 years old that goes in there and he says, when I'm 18 years old, I'm going to get my license and I'm going to be a life insurance agency. So I guess FFL was kind of changing that because of all the podcasts out there, and these kids are watching it and they're really excited about doing what we're doing. But me growing up, I'm 34 years old. I never thought in a million years I was going to be a life insurance agent, right? So there's I want to talk about two types of why. The one why is the why do you wake up and you go out there and to meet with these families to help put some protection in place to protect their families. Why? Again, when you start in this business, the most likely why is because of the money. But I'm going to tell you, somebody that has done thousands of appointments, somebody that has found, some pretty good success in the industry, that why is not going to hold. It's going to fall real fast. And the people that come in here for the money and stay for the money are most likely to quit at some point because the industry is not an easy industry. So you have to have a compelling why that makes sense, that will keep you going through whatever it is that you're going to go through to be able to find the success that you're looking for. So for example, in my case, my why is I do it for my family. I do it because my husband and I are working very hard to build the life that I always dreamt I could ever give my kids. I do it because I love protecting families. To me, there's no better feeling than when I leave a home knowing that before I came there, God forbid something happened to them, they had nothing. But now, because I came and I did what I needed to do, and sometimes that is calling them 50 times, sometimes it's knocking on their door, sometimes it's going through a 3-hour presentation, them telling you, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. And then finding a way to create the trust and build that relationship where now they see me as an advisor rather than a salesperson. And they trust me enough to help them, put them in a better position. Okay. So my why is I love my job. I am building a business for my family. The money is great, but if I put people first, the money will come, right? That's my why. When I wake up in the morning, I have a 2-month-old baby. Guys, sometimes I don't want to get out of the house. I don't want to leave my baby at home. He's 2 months, 2.5 months now. It's not an easy thing for me to do, but you know what? My why keeps me going.
Did you
So what
say
I want you
sometimes you don't want to get out of the house because of Luca? It's like every day. It's a struggle.
I don't want to get out of the house all the time now because my baby's too little. So Adriano had to kick me out. He literally kicked me out. Yesterday he said, I left and he's like, can you please not think about the baby all day? I'm like, what kind of joke is that? Like, it's my, because
I'm like, you're gonna get no-showed and then you're just gonna find reasons to come home. So do not think about Luca.
I was finding reasons to come home every day. And Adriano is like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
you just left an hour ago. Oh, I got no-showed. I'm here. I just came to see the baby. I'm like, okay, Vivian, let's get serious. Remember why we're doing this, right? There you go.
But it's that why that keeps me strong to get through those times that I don't want to do it because, I have a 2.5-month-old baby, it's not an easy thing. But the thing is, nobody gets far in life if they're going the easy path, right? So yesterday I was watching something from Les Brown and he was saying, don't choose the easy path. Choose the way that there's no path, make a path for yourself and leave a trail, right? And that's the point here. This is not an easy business, guys. So you have to have a reason to keep you going, even when you throw a curveball, even when things get tough, even when things are not working the way that they're supposed to. So if you don't know what your why is, you're not going to get through it. So the first thing, write it down. If you have a pen and paper, write it down. What is my why? What's my reason to wake up in the morning, sit down to dial, and keep dialing for 12 hours, no matter what comes at me? Why am I doing this? What are the reasons? What's going to keep me going? And then dig into that why. So why do I want to build this business with my husband? That's what I ask myself. Why? What's that going to bring me? What type of emotional results I'm going to get from it? And what type of physical results am I going to get from it? Write it all down, make a list, recognize what is your why to do what you're doing. Again, this business is very challenging. If you can establish a strong why, you're going to get through anything. And you know what? Look, just look around. Like, there's people making millions of dollars in this business that started a year ago. That can be you. But if you don't have a strong why and you quit before then, that can be you, right? So at the end of the day, your why is going to get you there. So that's the first one. What's your why? What makes you wake up? What makes you go out there? Makes you go through whatever it takes, makes you do whatever it takes. For me, I told you a little bit of what it is, but it also, some people say, oh, Vivian, your agency is growing really fast. And, at some point you're going to get off the field. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get off the field because like yesterday, I went out there, I sat with a few people, I helped, some incredible people that it just gives me so much joy that it's part of me now. It's not about the money. I mean, I did make $12,000 in one day, but it's not about the $12,000. It's about those relationships. It's about helping them. It's about, spending the time with them. And then, people say, do you really go back and review policies with your clients? Yes, I do every time. Every time. If they call me and they say, I received the policy, can you come and review with me? Yes. And then when I come, I bring donuts, I bring coffee, I bring all kinds of things like bagels. You know, I have relationships with my clients. I have clients that call me that I wrote a policy a year ago to ask me, how is my baby? That's what my why is. My why is, I say I came into this business for the money, but I stayed in the business for the people. And if you think like that, everything changes for you. The money gets a lot bigger when you think like that. Okay. Now let's go into the why that we use in our presentation. Why do I do this? Why did I come into this business? I came into this business because at that time, I really needed the money. Adriano and I, you know, we had launched a company. The company didn't take off. We were, basically, we had $1 million of inventory in the safe, and we had zero money in the bank account. And we were $500,000 in debt. It wasn't easy. And at that point, we were like, you know what, let's just go and find jobs. I'm a brilliant CEO. You were a brilliant structural engineer. Let's just go and find jobs. So we started looking for jobs. And when I actually got a few offers to be, you know, for C-level executive jobs. One of them was to be CMO of a e-commerce company. And the base salary on that job was $250,000. And then plus all kinds of things. And at that point, I stopped and I thought to myself, I've always worked for myself. And I'm learning a little bit about this insurance thing. And everybody's saying that, you know, you can make 500,000, you can make 800,000. It all depends on you. Why am I going to sit down and work towards somebody else's dreams when I can do it for myself? And if it only depends on me, I'm going to be successful because I'm not afraid to work, right? So I turned down that $250,000 job. Adriano wanted to kill me. And I said yes to go to work with a company that was paying 60%. My commissions were anywhere from 25 to 60% on whatever I sold. Within very little time, I became the top agent in that company. And then, you know, after that, I ended up finding FFL, and, you know, it's history from there. But basically, my why is because I needed money, right? Now, when I came here and I started working and I started meeting people and I started going in the field, and a lot of people here came from the other company, you know, we worked together at the other company, and they knew I would go out there. I would see 2-3 families, I would help 2-3 families. Because one thing that I learned was how to set up my why. And then I didn't realize that what I was doing, now I was getting into the insurance business, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together. And basically I took my life experience and what I was doing now, and I matched it, and I was like, whoa, I am going to do for people what somebody did for me. I didn't really know that was being done for me, but what somebody did for me and changed my life. So now I get the chance to tell them how my life was changed, and how, if they don't have something like that, they could be in trouble, or, you know, how this could actually change their life. So I'm going to tell you guys my why. Okay. And that's the true reason why I stayed in this business. That is the true reason why, you know, I'm not a big final expense person. I am a mortgage protection person. So if anybody say, oh, does Vivian just run mortgage protection? No, I will run other things, but that's not what motivates me. Why mortgage protection motivates me. So my story real quick. And then I'm going to explain to you guys how we add that to our presentation. Okay. So I bought my first house. I was 22 years old. No, 23, something like that. And when I was around 26 years old, my ex-husband was much older than me. He was 17 years older than me. My ex-husband's a big glass sculptor, very big. Today, he's the biggest one in the world. At that time, I think it was 2015 or 16. At that time, You know, our company was taking off. When we first got together, we barely had $700 to pay rent. We lived in a little town in the middle of nowhere in California. And we got together, we worked very hard to build that business. At that time, about 4 years later, our business was taking off. Jack was becoming the biggest cold glass sculptor in the world. We're selling millions of dollars. And you know, people were waiting 3 years to buy one of his sculptures. And then one day I'm picking up my son at school and I get a call. And it's my assistant, and then she says, Vivian, you have to get to Henry Mayo. Jack had an accident. You get there. So I get to Henry Mayo, and then I find out Jack was sculpting a 15-pound piece of glass. And that piece of glass flew off the wheel, hit him in the face, broke his nose. It was fine. It was just a broken nose. No big deal. They fixed whatever. They did whatever they needed to do. And they told him he would have to go to, you know, a doctor to be able to fix the deviated septum because he wasn't going to be able to breathe properly. So he goes to the doctor. The doctor says he needs to do a septoplasty. Very simple thing. If you guys know what a septoplasty is, it's a very, very simple thing. You go in the morning, you're off, you know, you're out of the hospital within 3 hours and nothing happens. So he goes in to do that. I didn't then go to the hospital with him. My son had school. I didn't go, you know, he's an assistant at his studio took him. He came home around noon. When he woke up, well, he comes home and said, how are you doing, Jack? And he says, I'm okay, but it's very blurry on my right eye. And I said, okay, well, go to sleep. When you wake up, you know, I'll wake you up in a few hours. When he woke up, I said, Jack, how are you doing? And he said, I can't see out of my right eye. So I called the doctor. The doctor says that's not normal. Go to the hospital right now. We went to the hospital. We got there. 4 hours later, the doctor comes in at midnight and he says, Jack, I'm so sorry to tell you this. I'm sitting in the corner and he says, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but you're blind. You threw a clot on the artery behind your retina while you were having that surgery. And when you woke up, you would have 4 hours for them to do something to be able to move the clot. But because they didn't do anything, and when you told them that you couldn't see, they told you it was anesthesia, there's nothing we can do now. But it's okay, buddy. We're going to send you to UCLA right now. They're going to put you in the hyperbaric chamber. I just talked to the director of the hospital. We're going to try doing something. The last resort is the hyperbaric chamber. If you guys know what the hyperbaric chamber is, it's something created by NASA. It's a chamber. They do a lot of like arthritis and chronic illnesses and things like that to try and help with pain. So they put him in a ambulance, send him to the hyperbaric to UCLA. I go home. I was lucky my mom was there, so my mom stayed with Owen. I think Owen was 4 years old at the time. And I go there, and Jack was in the hospital for 5 weeks. They were doing 4 hyperbaric chamber sessions a day for 5 weeks. And the insurance does not pay for that stuff because it's alternative therapy. And each one of them costs $2,500. That's $10,000 a day for 5 weeks. At that time, we were making $900,000 a year together. That was our salary we used to take out of the company. Overnight, we were making $0. I had a $4,000 mortgage. I have a $10,000 bill a day for 5 weeks. And at the end of the 5 weeks, he was still blind. And my only hope was to keep paying for that treatment to see if we could fix his eyes so he could go back to work and we could do everything back together. I had to let go 16 employees. I had to refund millions of dollars to my collectors because now he's blind. And at the end of those 5 weeks, I called my real estate agent. She's like my mom. And I said, Nana, we need to put the house in the market because I need money first. I need money to pay my mortgage. Well, I don't have the money to pay the mortgage, so I'm gonna lose it if I don't put in the market. Second, I need the money to pay for Jack's treatments because I don't have the money to pay for these crazy bills. Third, I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, we can't afford a $4,000 mortgage. And Diana turns around and she says, Vivian, you put $150,000 in this house. It's going to take a while for you to be able to sell this house for what's worth. You know, it's not going to happen. But what about your mortgage protection? And I said, what do you mean mortgage protection? I don't have mortgage protection. I have PMI. I already called the bank to ask if they pay for something, but they said that stuff is just to protect the bank. She said, no, you have mortgage protection. I bought it for you. I said, what do you mean you bought it for me? She's like, when you bought the house, you were so retarded and always so busy. I couldn't get you to sit down with my mortgage protection guy. So I filled out the application for you and I sent him to ask you the health questions and get your signatures. And I paid for your entire first year. So unless you stopped paying for it after the first year, you have mortgage protection. I don't know what you're talking about. Just go on your safe, see if you can find the documents. If not, I'm gonna give him a call right now. What do you guys think I found on my safe? A mortgage protection policy. I had a mortgage protection policy. I had disability. I had all kinds of things I didn't even know I had. It was so cheap because I was so young. Jack was young as well. And that policy, because it had disability and Jack was disabled, it paid for my mortgage for 2 years. Then we went to look into our life insurance policy, which we only had. I mean, remember, I was 26 years old. Why would I have a life insurance policy? Like one of these people that they make a lot of money. They think they don't need anything. I went to look into the life insurance policy that we only had because we got $1 million investment into the company, and the investors made us take a $2 million investment, a $2 million policy on Jack, and $1 million policy on me. It was AIG, fully underwritten, the whole shenanigans. We went to look into it, and he had a accidental dismemberment rider, and because him losing his eyesight the way that he did, that's dismemberment, we got $250,000 out of that policy, and that allowed us to hire the 16 employees we had to let go back. And then Jack trained them to do a lot of the stuff that he now couldn't do anymore. So mortgage protection saved my house. Life insurance saved my business. And we weren't dead. So for me, when I go into anybody's home, I fight for them. Because they don't know better, guys. They have no clue. They have no clue what could happen if they don't have that policy. So if you are writing insurance here and you're not willing to fight for your clients, quit. Because you're doing a disservice to them. Now, this is my story. This is the reason why I wake up in the morning with a 2.5-month-old baby. And I get up and I go protect families. That keeps me going. Because if I don't do that, and I buy these leads, they cost me $200. Doesn't matter how much it costs me. It could cost me 50 cents or it cost me $200. If I buy these leads and I don't service these people, they requested my information. And something like what happened to me happened. And the reason they have nothing in place is because I was too lazy to knock on their doors, or because I think I'm better than door knocking. I shouldn't be in this business. That's my story. Now, I'm going to tell you guys how you're going to incorporate your story or my story or your brother's story or your sister's story or your dad's story into your presentation. When I first started in this industry, I learned about, what's your why? Write it down. When I first started, I was flying from LA to Miami. No, I was flying from Miami to LA, and I started writing down my story. I never really thought about it after everything that happened, So I started writing it, and it took me 4 hours to put everything on paper, and I cried for 4 hours from when I took off in Miami to when I landed in LA. I cried. I couldn't stop crying. To this day, every time I tell this story, it takes a very big toll on me. So much so that when I started, every home I would go, I would talk about it because that's what I was taught. Always tell your why. And I would come home with horrible headaches. Adriana had to like do all kinds of things, Reiki and stuff to help me get out of it because it's very emotionally draining for me.
If I may just touch on that a second, it's true. Like she would come home floored, drained, because she was going through 6, 7, 8 presentations a day, right? Mortgage protection, and she would retell that story over and over and over again. And the thing about an experience is that stays with you. The moment you're thinking about that, it comes right back. Just because it happened 20 years ago doesn't mean that those feelings can't be, brought up. No matter how much healing you do or whatever, if you're okay with it, it's always gonna bring up that emotion, right? And it's like you're living it all over again, which is why Vivian, that's genuine emotion that's coming out. It doesn't matter that like the story is, she's no longer with her ex-husband, or like it's many, many, many years later. It's like she's right back there. And that's the emotion that gets through and touches and connects people to that importance, right? So it's true. She used to come home drained, migraines. I'm like, what's going on? We have to change something here. I mean, you can't be doing this story every single time. But anyway, yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add that.
So that's kind of like how I developed my system, where I do use my why, but I use my why as a joker. Just like, when you're playing cards and sometimes you need a joker because it's going to be, something that's going to change everything. Whenever you don't have something and you need something, that's when you're going to use your why. Because I just feel like if you're using your why every single presentation, it's going to be emotionally draining for you. And it can look, it might not look real, right? So here's what happens. When you're doing any type, it could be mortgage protection, it could be life insurance, it could be final expense, it could be anything really, okay? When you're doing your presentation, when you're meeting with your clients, you need to be able to bring in emotion, because a life insurance sale, it is a very emotional sale. You're protecting people's lives if, God forbid, something happens. And sometimes people are very rational and they can see that emotion. So you're gonna use your why whenever you need to bring up the emotion. Whenever you need them to get off the reason and be able to visualize themselves, in a situation that they are just not comfortable to get there. But unfortunately, if you don't think about what could happen, you're not gonna have any protection in case it happens. And then the worst happens and you have nothing there. So that's important that you have a story. So now for me, I have my own story. If you don't have one, think about somebody that does, right? And then write it down. Write down why you're doing this. Write down the story of somebody that that, God forbid, something happened to them, and then life insurance did help them, or somebody that didn't have anything and they lost everything because they didn't have life insurance, or they went through something that, and you want to describe it well, where you make your clients visualize that. So when I started in this business, I would go in, I would do every single time, and I was like, this is not working. So now I use it as my joker. So whenever I'm talking to somebody, and we're just having a conversation, and I feel like there need to be that extra emotion, that extra understanding what this could do for them. And a lot of times it's in the close. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, earlier in the presentation. Sometimes I already closed and I am writing the application, and that's going to lock them down. That's going to make them understand how important it is so they don't cancel that policy, right? And a lot of times it's just while you're trying to build trust. Because if you are vulnerable enough to tell them your story, they're going to be vulnerable enough to tell you their story. And they're going to trust you more. Okay, so I guess I told you guys the other day, I met with this wonderful man. He was a lawyer. He was very skeptical. And at the end of the presentation, he was hugging me and telling me, thank you so much. I've been procrastinating for a long time to put this together. I just didn't trust anybody else to do it for me. you know, and the first thing he told me when I sat on the table was, I'm not doing no applications today. But again, my why, the time I spent with him, the fact that I don't care for the time, I care for actually protecting and helping him, right? So when you're doing, so what I want you guys to think about is this: sit down after this call and write down why you are doing this, why you get up every day to go to work. Why do you go through the people hanging up on you? Why do you buy leads? Why do you dial for 12 hours? Why do you run appointments even though some days you're flooded with no shows? Why do you keep going? And then I want you to write down in details. It has to be in the details, because when I wrote my why, it was like 5 pages. And then I had to, like, you know, get a much smaller version of it. But details of a story of something that you went through, or somebody that you know that went through, that, you know, if they had life insurance, it would have been completely different. Or because they did have life insurance, you know, it saves their lives. Or, you know, write down in details. And then when you have all the, if you do like a very superficial thing, it's not going to work because you're not bringing in emotion. You want to do in details, and then you're going to get it to a point that's, you know, a 3-minute story or a 5-minute story max. Okay, where whenever you're having a conversation with your clients and you feel that there is something in there that you can bring in the emotion to, you're going to talk about that. Now, the way that I do this, I tell them my story. Sometimes I tell them my story when I'm trying to tell them the importance of what mortgage protection is. Sometimes I tell them my story when they say, well, I need to call my kids. And then I say, okay, so this is my story. Now, let me ask you a question. I did that yesterday, and I wrote, you know, $6,300 in a home. When I did that, I didn't get any objections at all in that presentation. But when I sat down, she said, so my son, can you call my son and explain this? The moment I sat down and explained this to him, because he's the one that's going to be paying for this. And then I told her, I said, okay, so let me tell you my story real quick. But this is my story. Now, do you think if my mom had called me and asked me if she should take a policy that's going to cost, you know, $200 to protect the mortgage, to give me, you know, 12 months of mortgage payments, do you think I would, what do you think I would tell her? She said, you would tell her not to. I said, exactly. But if she had not taken a policy and something happened to her while I was going through what I went through, what do you think would have happened? You would lose your house and her house. And I said, yeah, I would lose both houses. And then she said, and I completely understand that, but my son wants this. He was the one that made me fill this out. So I ended up calling him and I gave him the pricing, and I wrote a policy on the mom, on him, on the kids, and everybody, and then got out of there with $6,300 of you know, of coverage, and I got everybody covered. And when she says, oh, my son has 6 kids, 4 different baby mamas, I'm like, oh my God, where's this policy of his? We need to review this right now, because he's got 6 kids. I need to make sure he has something good. And he did have a policy for $100,000. We changed it to $250,000. The mom agreed to pay $250,000 of coverage. The mom was paying $150,000. He was paying $150,000, and now he has much better coverage and with living benefits, because he's a trucker. If he can drive a truck, he doesn't have income, right? And that would affect the ability of paying for that mortgage as well, because he lived with her. So basically, you know, you're going to use that why in whatever way, you know, whenever it's necessary to bring in that emotion. So what I want you guys to think is, come up with a why. Come up with a story of a why. Sometimes you have one. If you don't, use mine. And when I tell my story, I cement it with this. I will tell my story, and I'm not kidding. 80% of the time when I tell people my story, they cry while I'm telling the story. And a lot of times I cry, and it's okay, because I don't do it as often anymore. So it's all right. It's not as tolling on me anymore. But a lot of times I will watch people visualizing everything, because I'm giving them details. They're visualizing everything happening, and they're like, oh my God, no, John, we have to get this. We have to get this. This girl went through went through this at 26 years old. Imagine us at 55. What if you have a stroke? What if you have a heart attack? And because of my story talks about the fact that we did not die, it makes them see that they don't need to die to not be able to pay for that mortgage. And if they don't die, and I even say, I say, John, here's the thing. If you don't die, you have to watch your wife suffer and losing the house, but you're still here, you're still alive, and you're going through chemo because you now have cancer and you can't work. What do you do? And that makes them see what you're showing them as much more than just a life insurance policy. It makes them understand the value of it in a way that nothing will be able to explain, because they just visualize me almost losing my house. And I didn't lose it because of a mortgage protection policy. In the beginning, I don't have a health license. I only have a life license. So I can't write disability. So a lot of people in the beginning, they were like, I want disability. And I'm like, oh shoot, I can't write disability. But you know, what happened could have been considered like a chronic illness as well, because he lost, you know, an eye. So it's one of those things. Come up with your why, guys. Start using your why. Start making yourself vulnerable, because if you make yourself vulnerable in your presentation, they're going to make themselves vulnerable. And then you're going to start like helping so many more people. These are people. Do not act like they are numbers, because they're not numbers. They are people. They have stories. They have struggles. Their family is very important to them. Some of them are not, and that's okay. If that's okay, just get up and go help somebody that wants to be helped. But the majority of them, the reason they filled out this form is because they care for their family. So if you sit in front of them and they tell, oh, I just filled it out. I just filled this out because, you know, it wouldn't stop coming in the mail. Bullshit. It's bullshit. They're lying to you. They just don't want to get vulnerable in front of you. If you are vulnerable in front of them, they're gonna open up. So find a way to open them up. Okay. And what I do is, whenever I tell my why, again, if you guys want to use my why, you can do an example. I have my sister. Make me your sister. This is the story of my sister. This is what happened to my sister. Okay. And her husband, this happened to her husband, and they went through this and this and this and this. And I'm gonna show you what they do. So what I do, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show you guys. And when I do this, Audrey, can you please let me share my screen?
Should be able to.
So whenever I tell this story, because the why could sound very a made-up story, because so whenever I tell this story, I do this. I'm gonna show you what my ex-husband does, and then I go on Google and I show them this video that has 220 million views. If I can get this, hold on. This is what? This is not right. This is not the right video. This is, yeah, this is it. It's a minute and 40 seconds. And then I make them watch this. Oops. And then on this video, he talks about what he went through. And this video has 117 million views, if you can see here. And it tells the process, and then they see the type of work he does and what happens to him.
Grind and polish and repeat over and over and over again. So the process is simple, but it's meticulous and it's monotonous. But I love it. It's a discovery that keeps me anxious and keeps me wanting to do more. judge distance, and that was a pretty tough year. But I came out the other end, I think, with better designs and a stronger reinforced technique.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you this. Every time I do this and I show people, like I tell them my story and I make myself vulnerable, and then I show that video, which is a video that has 117 million views. People are like, whoa. Especially when I'm dealing with rich clients that think that they don't need life insurance, and then they see that's a very successful artist. And then it seals it. It's real. I'm not coming up with a story. So, if you guys want to use my story, you can say, I have a coworker, this happened to her. This is the video. Show them. I have a lot of people that do that. They use my story, they use the video, they tell the story, and it helps them. Let me get the link for you, Trace. It helps them. It helps them bring that emotion. And then some of them, they have, I've hired people that I said, I was training them, and I always say, write down your why, send it to me, I want to read it, and then I'm going to give you feedback. And they just couldn't bring themselves to put down their story in the paper. But the thing is, you can't go out there and ask them to trust you if you're not willing to make yourself vulnerable, right? So maybe you don't want to share with anybody. Maybe you will share with some clients that you do see. So write your story down. Talk to other people, get their story. Sometimes it's a story of a client. I don't remember, Jonna. It was a generic company. I don't remember exactly what the company was. It was just a life insurance company. I know that our life insurance was AIG, but the other one was like a company that I don't remember. It was like a smaller company, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, so that's the power of why. It's how you bring emotion into the sale, and it's how you're going to keep yourself going. If you want to build a big business, if you want to go out there, you are doing it for your family. Remind yourself every day why you're doing this. And one of the things that, I do, and I tell some of my top producers is write down your why. When you wake up in the morning, write down what you're grateful for, and then write down why you're doing this every morning. Why are you doing this? Remind yourself, why are you doing this? It's not easy, guys, especially when you're starting. I mean, I found immediate success in this business. I wrote $38,000 in my very first month. But you know what? My very first 3 months, I still want to quit every single day. I wanted to quit because it was hard. It is hard. But again, you can't have what most people don't have by doing what most people are willing to do. You have to be willing to do what most people are not willing to do for you to get where most people are not going to get, right? So make your why your reason to wake up in the morning. I told one of our writers that, brand new writers, she went door knocking, she wasn't finding a lot of success. And I told her, I said, listen, every time somebody is laid the door on your face, tell yourself, Vivian was door knocking at 7 months pregnant. If Vivian can door knock at 7 months pregnant, I sure can door knock right now. And don't let it get to you. So the human brain is a very interesting thing. You have to have a reason to do things. Find your reason. Make it fuel you. My reason is people, not money. Many times, Adriano, what happens when I tell you that I want to reach a goal and I make money the reason? Like if I try making money to motivate me, what happens?
This doesn't do it. You're focused on generating income for whatever reason it is, and you're not worried about what's right in front of you, and those are the people.
Austin, are you here?
Yes.
So Austin was stuck and not like he was writing like the maximum that he had written an entire week was $17,000, and he was trying to reach to over, past 20. And then Austin, what did I tell you that you had to do to be able to get there?
Stop focusing on my expenses, about making it, making money. Stop focusing on like going into a home and seeing how much money that or try to figure out how much money that I'm going to make in that home.
And when you started doing that, what happened?
When I stopped doing that, what you said?
When you started doing that, you started focusing
Oh
on
yeah,
money, what happened?
yeah. When I started focusing on making money, I did really bad.
What about you, John? When you were stuck, like about 2-3 months ago, I think we had a conversation. You were stuck and like you couldn't do more than $15,000 a month. Remember?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had to change my mindset, and I did. But it's a work in progress. But I think that there was some other factors. I think fortunately, I didn't have to overcome the fact that I'm in a home to help people. So that's always been, I mean, there was a lot wrong with me, but I I knew that helping people was why I was there. And that's, but the minute I start looking at leaderboards and, doing my 10 to, 15 to 20K a week, it's very easy to get caught up in the money, especially when you start to build and you're worried about expenses, and it's very hard to lose. It's very easy to lose focus. So even with the best intentions, I think that you need to really every morning when you're doing your meditation or exercising or listening to Les Brown or whatever you may do your ritual in the morning, I think it's important to be like, I need to help people today. And when you help people, obviously you're going to make money. So when that's your primary focus, the money takes care of itself.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And then sometimes we forget that too. I forget that. John forgets that.
Of course.
Forgets that. And the main thing is this, John, he had a rough week last week. I had a very rough week last week. I told you guys last week, I was changing everything up and trying to optimize my time. Very bad week. And so John calls me and he says, Vivian, it's been a rough week. I just did my meditation. I wanted to call you before I hit the field because I need help to get this going. And then I was thinking, I was like, John is a $60,000 a month producer, guys. If John is calling me before he gets in the field to help his mindset to be right, to be able to help the most people he can. And if you're not a $60,000 a month producer and you are struggling and you're not reaching out and reaching up, there's the reason right there, right? And there's one of these one of these videos on YouTube that we watch for Les Brown. It says, don't ask for help because you're weak. Ask for help because you want to be more and you want to be better, because you want to be stronger, right?
Want to be stronger. Exactly.
Exactly. So, and it's like, I have a 10-year-old screaming like a crazy child over here, if you guys hear. He's playing video games upstairs. Anyway, so my point is your why. Use your why, or use my why, or use the why of somebody to help fuel your business. Go out there, help people. That's all you need to think about. It's very easy to get caught up on all the podcasts of all of these 20-year-olds that are making crazy amounts of money. It's amazing. You can't make crazy amount of money, but do you know what you find every time you sit down with them and you talk to them? Every one of them. Zach Feldowski, Easton Patton, Casey Trout, every single one of them, Greg, every single one of them, they are focusing on the people. They're not focusing on the money. So focus on the people. Use your why, If you guys need help to set it up, reach out to me, reach out to John, reach out to Austin. We're here to help you out, anything you need, and make this business what it is about helping people. And trust me, Jeff, are you seeing a difference in your business since we started talking?
I'm starting to see a difference in my business. I'm more so, I'm seeing a difference in my head. So yes.
And that's it. When you start working on yourself, because it's like this, you guys also need to think about this. Your car needs maintenance to be able to keep driving, right? You have to change the oil, you have to put gas, you have to wash it, you have to, do like, the whatever miles maintenance. So why do we take care of these things, but we don't take care of ourselves, of our mindset, right? So it's work on your mindset, take care of your mindset, protect your mindset, use your why, do what you need to do in this business for the right reasons. Make this a responsibility. And I'm gonna end with this because this is our last, mortgage protection for the series, training for the series. When I say, if you are not in this business for the right reasons, quit, I mean it. Because if that guy, if Diana had not sent that guy to get my signature, even though I wasn't willing to sit with him, I would have lost my $700,000 home. My son's life would have completely be changed now. He would have to change schools. He would lose his little friends. I would have lost my multi-million-dollar business. 16 people that worked for me would have been without a job. My ex-husband, which is a brilliant artist, would have lost his career. My marriage, didn't work out, but he is a brilliant artist and he deserves to be successful at what he does. And if it wasn't for that guy coming to get my signature and Diana making him chase me around or whatever it is that happened, I would have lost it all. So when I say, if you're not willing to do what it takes, quit. I mean it. I mean it. Go work at McDonald's. You're going to make more money there and you're going to hurt less people there. Because if you're coming here because you want to make a lot of money, that's great. You can't make a lot of money. But you should be here because the impacts that you're going to make at this business is so great, but you have to be willing to work for it. Because by you not getting every single one of your leads and door knocking them, if you can get in touch with them, it's you being the doctor and the patient comes in on the emergency, you were the emergency doctor, the patient comes in and then just tap out of the table and say, you know what? I am too tired to take care of these patients. It's a lot of work. I'm just not gonna do it. I don't feel like it. Having to open him up and put his organs back together or whatever it is that I need to do sounds like a lot right now. I'm gonna let him die on my table. That's what you're doing when you're not doing what it takes. So be in this business, take the responsibility, do what it takes. And by doing that, you're going to change your life. But if you're gonna come in here, you're gonna be lazy, and you're gonna say, okay, people are not picking up the phone. And I'm not saying that you're lazy if you're not finding success, okay? I'm not saying that. Please do not say that. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're gonna come in here, you're not gonna do what it takes. And sometimes what it takes is taking the leads, knocking on their doors and telling them, I'm here to help you. I need 5 minutes to help you. And telling yourself, you know what? I did everything I could. Oh, wow, the sky is orange. I did everything I could to help them. So I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Thank you so much for being with us for these last 5 Sundays. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed sharing, you know, the little bit of knowledge I have with all of you. If you guys need any help, please reach out to me, reach out to Adri, reach out to John, reach out to Austin, anybody in our team who are willing to help. You don't need to be part of our team. FFL is a big family. We love and help each other in any way we can. And when I say this is from the bottom of my heart, I want every single person that comes in here to be a massive producer. I want every single one of you to make crazy money. Because if you're making crazy money, that means you're making a bigger impact. You're helping a lot of people. You're making sure a lot of people are not being left in a horrible situation that I could have been left on if I didn't have what my American mom, which was my real estate agent, put together for me. And I never thought in a million years I would need it. So guys, have an amazing Sunday. Go out there. When you hit the phones tomorrow, take that phone with the responsibility of the doctor that needs to save that patient. You got the leads. You bought this lead. These leads, this person, this family is now your responsibility. Take it seriously. And if you do that, trust me, you're going to make it big. You're going to see money like you've never thought possibly could ever happen in your life. I was, you know, I had people that I was showing my bank account, you know, and they were like, what? That's possible? Yeah, it's possible, guys. But I don't look for the money. I don't care for the money. I care for helping the people. So go out there, make it happen. Trust the system, follow the system. If you have questions, if you need help, reach up to your upline. I always say, I am paid to help my team. I am paid to help you succeed. If you succeed, I'm paid even more. So reach up to your upline, ask questions, ask for help, and make it an amazing week. And we're here for you if you need any help. You want to say anything, Adriano?
Not really. It's hard to follow that up. Just Luca and I thank you guys for joining us this past 5
Oh, there's the baby.
and we'll see you. Oh, bad habits starting already. We'll see you guys in the training. Yeah, very, very soon. Take care, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys. Have a great evening.